What's Stack a Boat?
Oh,
There was a tune in the 90s.
Yeah,
Here we go. Here we go. No, that's another one. What was the song from? Here we go.
Yeah,
again.
that was Stack a Boat.
That was Stack a Boat. And wasn't there also a? I think it was in the same kind of time frame, wasn't there? Stereo MCs as well.
Stereo MCs. So what did they did? Connected.
Something. So yeah, they songs. Yeah.
Yeah. Should we talk about Comic-Con or should we talk music?
I'm
happy to talk about music.
Let's just talk about music. Right, we're going to talk about music and DJing for 45 minutes.
45 minutes is not long enough for me and you to talk.
We could easily do it. And then
I'm going to shut them down soon.
And then what we're going to then do is we're going to talk about Comic-Con for about 3 minutes at the end.
Yeah.
And then we're going to talk about Now 100, which is an album that came out in the UK, and we're going to talk about that for 20 minutes. I think that rounds up the show. I think that would be great.
If you haven't got a Now album in the UK yet, then you're missing out.
This is true.
Yeah.
Right, we've got a couple of viewers, and I can appreciate at this point everyone's either on the plane or they're back at work or they're doing what they need to do. But we are going to start properly in a minute or so. But we just to want to say welcome along and get yourself on the chat room. Of course, hit the chat box on the side of your YouTube screen. And jump in. This is slightly different to how we advertised it, but we will get into that as well. First things first, Alyssa, say hi and talk and say thanks to all your forum members, please. So,
he's reminding me what I need to do. How sweet of him. Good morning. We're here. It is noon on the Pacific time zone. Can we just say that, did anyone do fish tacos? How about,
I didn't even do fish tacos.
He didn't do fish tacos.
I did fish tacos.
Yes.
I did fish tacos.
So you're going to review the fish tacos?
I did fish tacos because I thought, you know what? This will be funny.
Yes, absolutely.
So
we're gonna do Revenge of the Fish Tacos. I'm gonna officially name this convention the Year of the Scooters.
Don't bring that up with somebody. It's embarrassing.
That's mean. That's incredibly mean.
And he didn't get me a beer. Did you notice this? He just got one for the boys.
For the boys. Do you want a beer?
No, I don't actually.
Wine for the ladies.
Would you like a white wine spritzer?
Yes. I will say that I've decided that I'm probably going to not do mixed alcohol and conventions, except to a moderate level.
Is that a new rule?
Yes, this is a new rule. Well, I had to get driven home one night thanks to hallh.com.
Aaron
was a gentleman, and Andy. Andy
Dickinson?
No, Andy.
Oh no, Andy. Yeah, no, yeah.
Yeah, the guy he always hangs out with was two true gentlemen, and made sure I got home one night. It was a night of the bloggers party. I got a little bit too much, so I've decided no more alcohol on conventions.
you are missing the coda of that one. Remember, I was there, and you're going, I want to get the vroom back. I want to get vroom back. And I'm going, oh God, this is going to go horribly wrong. I mean, I bruised myself up nicely. You're going to kill yourself or something. Vroom. Vroom back. I will say, okay. I mean, we're into it now. It's at the top of the morning. It's midday here in the US. It's 3 p.m. East Coast. It's certainly 8 p.m. in the UK. Sorry. We have ourselves a couple of people who have jumped in on the chat room already. Richard's mum, Ray. Oh, it's the Britain SD. Hello there. How are you? Thanks to I bumped into Rachel. It was a pleasure to meet you. Chuck Cook says hi. Raven Fire Phoenix says hello, and Violet Kruger from GV Review says hey everyone. We have our chat room up and running in a very nice little. Alyssa's really gone all out, hasn't she?
Yeah,
it's a very nice little technical setup.
Yeah.
Although the camera is making.
Yeah, I know. I got that problem too. Yeah,
but we'll work on that. You're not.
I don't know what problem you've got. You're perfectly
fine.
Yes. Let me just get something off the top.
Svelte is the word.
That's why I'm leaning forward and doing this all the time.
Mark Svelte Searby. That's going up on the t-shirt, by the way.
That's fine. That's fine.
Okay. Does this go along with my t-shirt of flaked? This is
right. So what we're going to be talking about today is the good, the bad, the ugly of San Diego Comic-Con 2018. If you attended, absolutely. If you attended the show in person, I hope you had a good one. I hope you had a great show. It was certainly a convention of firsts. Although several people have been commenting. I mean, something I took from the talkback was that people were talking about it in kind of retrograde terms. That it was felt like a con of old.
Right.
Well, I mean, what was your take on that?
That's the way it seemed to me too. From a lot of the longtime people, they were saying that it felt like the cons of 10 or 15 years ago. A lot of people really, really seem to like the changes that CCI made.
They worked well.
They worked well. I do want to ask people, can you hear us?
Well, there you have number one, can you hear us? And number two, well, I mean, the mic volume's nice.
Okay,
bouncing nicely.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that people aren't having a problem with the technical setup.
No worries. Well, I mean, and people are hearing. I mean, Richard's mum saying agree and yes. Although I did quite snigger at Chuck Cook, I think talking about the speltness of the Sultana over here. SDCC fit this whole burrito in my mouth. Nice.
Yeah.
Like that one. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Right. So, very quickly, I mean, we could talk about our own focuses of the con before we dive into everything else. What would you say your focus? Because people's focuses shifted this year purely because of the way that taking things offline, sorry, putting them online, and the way you were able to change your priorities of your con this year. So, what did you change anything about where you went? I mean, because I know that you wanted to do a few more offsites this year. What do you think?
I ended up not doing any offsites.
You didn't? Okay.
Well, I did one offsite this year, 2 offsites, I should say, this year. I didn't do as many parties. I didn't find them as interesting as I had last year. But I've been going through some personal issues and changing my whole convention. So it's not surprising that my convention also changed. And I took it as on a day-by-day basis.
So it was a personal choice rather than the changes that CCI implemented.
Right. But what a lot of people did say in the talkback panel was that the programming, Eddie Ibrahim's programming changes forced, I wouldn't say forced, but led to a lot of people being able to get into rooms, i.e. Hall H, surprisingly. There's a lot less room camping, and people felt, so I think that there was a lot more flow going on.
Sure.
And that seems like that was the major real convention change.
Okay. Certainly for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Mark, did the changes that CCI implement change your con, or did you just stick with your usual?
No, it never impacted me at all. I'm a panels person. I'll walk the floor and do other bits, but panels, that's the thing.
You're very quick and nimble. You can dive through crowds.
Yeah, exactly. This is the thing. I'm so small. I'm in and out.
Yeah.
You know, it's true. No, it never affected me. Actually, do you know what it did? Because we never thought we were going to get in for Dr. Horrible, considering what was after it.
Sure.
So we never really thought, let's do it. We wake up in the morning, we check Twitter, and it says they're still handing out C wristbands. Right, change down the front, and we're in. And we only wanted that one panel. So it did affect me in that regard, in the fact that I was like, oh, okay, I can actually get in for one panel. Whereas that wouldn't have happened in years past, I don't think.
No.
When you consider
you had to do the camping out. You had to make the investment. Certainly, a panel before, 2 panels before.
Yes, but nothing else. Nothing else. The rest of the panels were very smooth, very nice.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it wasn't 2 panels camping out anymore.
Sure.
We did that on Saturday night, and it was pointless because people were still walking in at the back for something in 6 BCF. It just felt like you could walk anywhere. But
you brought up an earlier point today in that without the camping out, you said you felt less invested.
Yeah, but I think that was more. It was one of the bigger panels, and that was something else. That was something related to press. But I think also, well, I don't know. I know what you're saying in terms of because I didn't camp out and because I did get into a panel on that Saturday, I didn't feel that I put the time in to be in that room. But at the end of the day, if you're in the room and you're enjoying it, you're in the room and you're enjoying it. So that was something else that is slightly unrelated to the general attendance way. And for myself, when it came to the way the changes my con, I've never done a signature in my life, and I've never done a Funko, Hasbro, or Lego, or any of that kind of thing, purely because the actual investment of going into a line at that point of the day was for me hard work, especially as if I was in previous years camping out for Hall H or whichever. So I'd never actually done any of those elements. So this was new to me because I took part in the exclusives portal. I entered a number of the ones that I wanted to do, which I got. The 3 that I got was I got Jeff John signing, which I will be talking and bragging about later on. I also got a Lego minifig, which had its own issues, but we'll get into that as well.
With help.
Oh yeah,
Lego minifig with help.
With help, yeah. But between the pair of us, we can relate the issues that came out of that. And also, I got a Funko as well, which was painless, utterly painless. I mean, admittedly, there was a hiccup, which we are not going to relay on the air, if you won't mind. Thank you. Yes, we're not. Yeah, you know what? Yeah. However, I got down there for 6:30, got into line, and we just kind of we're not gonna do into it anyway. If we just talk on, just get it. You just got into line, got escorted into the building. You went to the Funko booth, you filled out the form, you got your Funkos, and you left. And it was just dead simple.
It was like going to a shop.
It was like, it's remarkable.
Yeah.
Like, it was just remarkable.
Yeah.
And then, okay, well, let's talk about very quickly about Lego then. It was more the way that they were processing the exclusives portal. They were doing it in a 2 form. They were doing it manually off a paper master list, and they were also checking your own paperwork and also your own your member ID on your badge. So they were kind of really making sure that the right person, but that really slowed the process down.
That was for the Lego minifigs.
That's the Lego minifigs. And considering how many people were assigned those minifigs, the lines did snake around the building. I'd say they got through as quickly as they could, but at the end of the day, it was one at a time, and it just kind of really slowed down.
Here's the thing: I waited in the line, which originated at which I started at the Flying Saucer down on the boardwalk, down on the waterway, on up. So it took I think on Thursday or Friday, it took probably a good 2 hours to get through that line. Yep. So it was not an easy pickup procedure at all, and it should be with the portal. And this is squarely on Lego and Lego trying to work through the system. And
it was year 1 for them after all.
Right, yeah. And I'm sure that Sunday was easier than Thursday or Friday. I'm sure of that, but I want to just make sure that this is not a CCI issue. This is a Lego having to figure out how they're going to distribute probably 2,000 or 3,000 Legos.
Sure.
That's what they were dealing with. But having to do that double verification was tricky.
So I mean, I've kind of we have got a script, and we are going down. And in fact, I think that is going to be the first thing we're going to talk about, which is the exclusives. Then, so we covered the Lego, and I also covered a little bit of Funko as well. We were at the CCI talkback, and it was a weird vibe in that room because it was all positive and claps and applause, and it was yes, there were complaints and there were people that had issues of certain natures, but I'd say more than a previous talkback that I've ever been to, this was great. The vibe was fantastic, and the exclusive portal was great. And I'm just going, and I'm sat there going, this is so weird.
A lot of people at the talkback panel appreciated the exclusives portal. They liked it. a lot of the people who had voiced concerns and were not unhappy with the exclusives portal did not show up. There were one or two people who did voice concerns about the portal.
True, and I think it's the same concerns and indeed suggestions that have cropped up on numerous spots around the internet and around Twitter and whatever, which mostly regard the fact that, say, if you weren't invested in an exclusive and you happened to win it. So, for example, if you weren't a Funko fan, but you just entered anyway. So, yeah, the suggestion is that we are going to be, I do think next year we will see some kind of point system, some way of kind of putting your favoritism on a certain signatures. For example, you put your points on the signatures and you pick and choose from the exclusives instead of just being able to just rattle through the list.
For example, everybody would get 50 points. If you want to put,
I was like 50 seemed a bit high.
Well, whatever number they decide, everybody gets 10 points. And if they want to invest all 10 of their points on a Jeff Johns signature, go for it.
But
if you want to,
is this,
or you could spread it out.
Yeah.
Is this something that they spoke about at the Talkback panel, or is this just
This is us because
speculation?
The only thing about it, this is the great thing about the Talkback panel. It's a Talkback panel. People will come up to the microphone. They will make comments. They will make questions, suggestions. They will make criticisms, and John will sit there and write them down. Right, next. And it's a talk back panel. It's not a talk to. It's not a dialogue.
Yeah.
It's not a. It's very much just a case of I will just take your comments on board. We're not going to do anything here. We're going to make it so. No, it's purely honest, but it's pure. It is a good suggestion because it does allow people to weight their their preferences on the exclusives portal.
The other thing that was suggested by one of the people was that we be able to divest ourselves of valuable winning. So, for example, if I got a Funko and I'm not so much interested in Funko,
also like a barter system,
I can trade it to, I could reassign it to Leonard, and he could reassign me his Lego minifig.
Okay.
For example.
Yeah. Another suggestion which did come from a high up that I spoke to at Comic-Con, it's something that they did think about, or it's another suggestion that they've had rattling, is that there's some kind of a question that you have to answer to prove your fandom for a certain thing. So, for example, if there's an Expanse signing, you would answer a question about season 2 or whatever. At which point, that suggestion got quickly nixed because at the end of the day, the whole idea of Comic-Con is to learn about new shows. So you're not supposed to jump through some kind of American Ninja course to get an exclusive. So there's things that they need. At the end of the day, this was year 1. The site needs changing because the design of the site is incredibly unintuitive. So that needs looking at. But I think the general concept of it worked well. I think obviously there is that element of anyone with a member ID was able to. Shall we talk about this now? It's past the con. I think we can actually talk about it. At the end of the day, say for example for wristbands, there were a lot of uncollected wristbands, purely because people with a member ID just went down the list and went bang, 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 and just, I'll go for everything. And say, for example, they would then wake up on Saturday morning and see the email going, you're going to go and collect a Jeff Johns signing. And someone goes, who's Jeff Johns? I just put it in. I'm not going to bother. The previous years, and I did speak to somebody from one of the companies. I'll keep that to myself, which one. Just as the conversation, but the general conversation went that in previous years, the people that actually made the investment to line up for the wristbands and then didn't go and collect down at the actual desk, the fall off of that was 15 to 20%. Now, I think it was yourself that told us how it's surprised that it was even that high.
Yeah.
But that is apparently the general drop-off. This year, you're looking around 50.
Wow.
And there were piles of wristbands left, purely from people who went for them for the hell of it and then had no need.
Mhm.
This then led to the situation where you had the wristbands go through the actual on the counter or at the actual booth, and then they would take anybody who was in the vicinity. At which point we are back to literally square one.
Mhm.
People loitering. Oh, if it had gotten further out there that this was happening, you would have had crowds of people loitering around the booth with the opportunity of getting a WB, a DC, a signing of a Marvel or whatever.
Right.
Oh, well, not Marvel because they didn't take part.
And that goes back to one of the suggestions that was made in the talkback panel of
That's okay.
of people being able to say, I don't want this. If they don't want a Jeff Johns signing or they don't want a WB signing, they should be able to, or I'm going to be in Hall H that day. I don't want this.
I agree. It should be on, if you're getting that email, there should be a thing on there to say accept, decline.
Yeah.
Yes, accept,
I'll
decline.
go along with that.
Yeah.
Let's go through a couple of comments. We have Chuck Cook. I agree with the point system. Plus, someone can know a show backwards and forwards and go completely blank under pressure.
It's bang on. I agree with that.
Yeah. Dan Berry, I went for everything except some of the signings that were of no interest to me. Managed to get all of the exclusive signings that I won. Lego on Sunday around 3 p.m. gave out a few hundred of the free minifigures without a wristband. Indeed. Because they had boxes of the things.
Yes.
They had absolutely boxes. Yeah, it was incredible. Sarita P, that is the risk of the lottery. Anyone I see able to enter. Damn if they want it or not, or know who or what I think it. I can't even work that sentence out. That sentence is completely lost.
She's basically saying that anybody can go for it, even if they know what it is or if they don't know what
fair enough. Okay. Okay.
And then probably sell it on eBay.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay. Like I personally think it was a success. It just needs a little tweaking at this point. Like I say, it was year one, and they were just working it through.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. So that's the exclusives. I mean, I can quickly talk about my signing, which was fun, which was with Jeff Johns. At which point I'm stood there with a bunch of people. One of which knew an Englishman in San Diego, that happened several times over the course of the weekend. I was massaged my ego wonderfully.
You're talking about the signing, not yourself.
Okay, I went to speak to Jeff Johnson. He knew who I was because he knew an Englishman in San Diego. Next.
Oh, that was sweet.
So that was
Thank you for speeding that story up.
Because no worries.
The punchline was the important part of that story, not everything that led up to it.
No.
Absolutely.
It was incredibly simple. I think the only hiccup I saw certainly at DC was the first signing of the day, which was Gail Simone, who was a no-show because apparently they had a hiccup with her diary. She just didn't know that she was doing a signing. So there was all these people lining up to see Gail Simone, and it was a bit awkward. Right. Okay.
Did you have
anything else about the? Oh, Caroline. Any comments about the exclusives lottery? What would your comments? We have Caroline, who's in the room, by the way.
Well, while she's thinking.
Yes, you are. Go on.
I didn't do.
If you're going to talk, but give me 1 second.
Sit on Mark's knee.
No, yes, but give me what I'm going to give Mark. I'm going to give Mark a second here. Mark, did you do any signings?
Did you anything exclusive for?
I tried to get UCC.
Okay.
And looked at on that, but then I walked up to the booth in the afternoon and they still had some.
Yeah.
I didn't do any of the signings. Yeah, that was the Kermit. Yeah. Didn't do any of the signings just because they didn't interest me.
Okay.
So, hey, listen, I'd like to get something signed by, Warner's or something like that. But
the Warner Brothers and Sister Dot.
Yeah, that's Mr. Brothers too.
I would love to get those to sign me.
But no, I didn't do anything.
Okay.
No. Whereas somebody else did.
Caroline,
come on,
I
Alyssa,
think Caroline. Do it. Yeah, here. Why don't you take my chair?
Oh, okay. I really don't want me. Okay.
Well,
Dan Berry as well, very quickly. Jeff Smith.
Like crap.
Jeff Smith, Bone had a panel on Sunday that was cancelled. Yeah, I spotted that. I didn't know why. I didn't know why that was a no-show. I'll look into that. Well,
the exclusives, I've only got the Lego minifig, but they really well, they were organized, well organized, because they did have just exactly the number that went out in the lottery. So no matter where you were in the line, you knew you were going to have one, which I think is brilliant. A hell of a lot better than them turn around going, okay, come down to the booth at such and such a time and we'll be able to give it to you. Because then you've got all of the chaos and madness of everything around you, and there's a chance you might not get it because they might have given it to somebody by mistake or whatever. Because as we all know, that does happen. People try and blag everything. Whereas with it being up on the sales, all organized, they had your name on a list, they crossed it off. Sign-ins, I did get the Orville sign-in. However, I couldn't get out of Ballroom 20, mainly because I didn't want to get out of Ballroom 20. That was the issue that I had. They put the lottery together, they put them out for you to go and get your wristband to get the sign-in. But they didn't tell you what time any of the sign-ins were. They didn't tell you what time any of the schedules were, so you didn't know if it conflicted or not, which
that came up in the talk.
Really annoyed me because, yeah, it's bound to work because it happened with everybody. There was a girl sitting 2 seats down from me. She got the Warner Brothers sign-in for Legends of Tomorrow. I know that because it was Bebo on the wristband. And she didn't want to leave Ballroom 20 because the time the sign-in, it was a panel that she wanted to see, which happened to be another WB panel. So why they would actually conflict their own shows, I mean, it was all Arrowverse. It was Supergirl, Legends of Tomorrow, Arrow, and Flash in that order.
Well, I've been saying to you this for years. You pick one.
Yeah.
Flash or Arrow.
No.
Legends of Tomorrow or the other one that I don't care
Supergirl.
about. I don't care. Okay, moving on.
Hey. You had to pick between them. And when you're a fan of the Arrowverse, you're a fan of you. They're all linked. They all have crossovers. So you want to see all 4 of the panels just in case they reveal anything from a new crossover, which they actually did. And they changed the date of their crossover with, I believe it's Supergirl and Flash. I think they have a crossover. Normally that's their preseason break. It might be December. They have one where it's the preseason break and then they have a crossover, and I can't remember which way round it is, but they've switched them this year because it's the 100th episode of one of them. I cannot remember what it is now. Sorry, my brain is fried.
Call yourself a fan.
Yeah, my brain is fried.
Honestly.
So yeah, that was really annoying to have to try and choose between them all.
Okay. That, like I say, that did come up in the talk about the whole when 2 did actually come together. It did come together, and it did conflict. Sorry, was that? Well, okay. Is that your swag? Is that your favorite?
That's her favorite swag.
Fair enough. We're going to get.
You couldn't see it.
No, it's okay.
It was just to kind of cover.
Yeah, but she was.
It will be revealed later.
Yeah. Okay.
I was just leaning on it because I'm very self-conscious.
So are you heading to the pool now?
I am, yes. I do want to say, because I did experience the ADA line.
Ah.
I experienced all facets of the ADA experience this year. Thank you. And it was basically, because I was in a wheelchair on one day, I had my cane on another day, and then I had a knee support. So I did experience all 3 types of how people would treat you with different things. Like when you're in a wheelchair, people will just walk out in front of you on the floor, which they can clearly see you. They just smacked the wheel. I had somebody I had my cane across my lap on the wheelchair, and somebody knocked it off me and then carried on walking. They shouted sorry, which that was nice, but they carried on walking. They didn't help me with the cane. They didn't pick it up for me, which I was in a wheelchair. I couldn't reach over and grab it. I needed somebody to get it for me. But with the ADA lines, yeah, they screwed up. But that's mainly because they don't have a uniform voice. I think the problem, because CCI have a lot of companies of security working for them. There's about, I think it's like, 7?
Okay.
And It's not one security team doing all of the doors. It is a couple of them that are doing different doors.
Something that came up in the talkback was that perhaps there was a lack of a uniform dictation about
a unified voice.
Unified
policy.
Right.
They need to write it, and I do happen to agree that they need to write it out and specify it how things are going to work when the
exact time that their line is going to be opened. Yeah, they need that, but they also need radios to turn around and go, right, open the doors now. Open these doors now. They don't have that. They have well, we've been told we have to open at such and such a time. We've been told that they're not opening until such a time.
Right.
And that's all you got from different ones. They had different times. There was not the one voice saying you have to open the doors right now. There was nothing over the radio to call the shots. There was nothing like that, which they need to have. But that was literally the only fault that they had.
Okay. This gets the award for the best bracelet of the week. I have to say, it's all sparkly. You may not be able to see it. It's for the FX exhibition, and it's just.
I didn't see the back of the convention center all weekend. I didn't go to Adult Swim.
I did record something for you.
Good.
Because I got ushered into the, I want to say, Legion thing that they had there. Very trippy. Yes,
this is the best bracelet that was given out all weekend. I mean, yes, the Hall H lines were nice and all sparkly and everything, and really
but those signing ones were good.
Okay, that's I'm just going pure visual girly looks of bracelets because we're Mark.
I had one as well.
Me and Mark are just going. Okay, we're talking accessorizing.
Mark accessorizing con stuff.
I mean, absolutely. I did have a lot of wristbands, but.
In that case, onto it. That was my favorite piece of swag.
No, swag.
I'm going to the pool. There you go. That's mine. Bye.
Fine. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Caroline.
Now.
Yeah, fine. Right, okay. So that's the exclusives portal. By all means, continue to let us know in the chat room what you your own experiences were, what you thought of it. Like I say, myself and Alyssa can only refer to the talkback, and those are the people who are actually going to take their time out of their programming to go in the final hour and a half, 2 hours of their con to actually go and sit in a room and talk about the con they're attending, which is very, only lunatics would go to a thing like that. Anyway, so that's the exclusives. By all means, jump in. Dan Berry at WonderCon, if you won a signing, you had to accept it by logging back into the exclusives portal.
That would work.
That would work.
It
would certainly help.
Yeah.
Certainly help. Okay. We have the other changes to panel programming. Okay. Do you want to take this on first? Who wants to go? Go on, Mark.
Yeah, I can do it. I mean, there was a lot of talk beforehand about panel programming and the lack
companies
of
people
who weren't here and whatever else. I actually really liked it this year. We said before we came out here, I said to you and you, Alyssa, that the diversity of panels are actually really good this year. And just
drinking problems.
I really like that, and the fact that it was all spaced out as well. So it meant that actually, you know what, you can be in Hall H in the morning, then in the afternoon you can be in Ballroom 20, and then go off, into 6 BCF or all of these others without having to spend a long time in the lines. So this diverse panel programming for me worked really well. I really liked it. I saw every single panel I had down to see apart from one, and that's because I was too busy chatting to somebody else. So,
when I was looking through the schedules, it seemed to me that it was a very deliberate scheduled programming choice, in that it was very much, certainly for the bigger rooms, certainly for Hall H, Ballroom 20, it was a case of fandom, of programs which had a very dedicated fandom, which then didn't bleed into the next panel. And therefore, there was a constant rotation of audience. There was a panel, an audience that was there for a panel and then would move on for something else because they wouldn't be
a perfect example of this was there was a WWF panel,
WWE,
or the wrestling stuff.
WWE,
Okay.
WWF.
Oh.
Sorry, yeah, not my fandom. That led into a 2001 Space Odyssey retrospective 50th year anniversary.
I think there's a lot of bleed between those two.
I would agree. It's the
Well, the
same.
room
It's the synergy.
And the room, there was a huge amount of people who disagree with you in that room.
Fair enough.
Okay, which I thought was brilliant, because I could queue up for the 2001 Space Odyssey, which was getting a lot of hype prior to the show, at maybe an hour or so, half an hour, 45 minutes before the panel, and actually get in with a decent seat.
Yeah.
I had the same thing on a Saturday night.
Yep.
The main panel that stuck out for me all weekend was 25 Years of Nightmare Before Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, that's going to be huge. That's going to be absolutely massive, because Henry Selick was coming as well. So I thought, I'm going to have to be there 2 hours before. So we get in 2 hours before. The Purge is on. That's fine. I've seen the films. So we saw that nice panel. After that, they had a panel for Critical Role. Now, I don't know what this is. We sit through it. It turns out it's a TV program about people doing Dungeons and Dragons.
It's a YouTube show. And it's insanely popular.
And I was thinking, all of these people in this room are clearly here for Nightmare Before Christmas. I was completely wrong. And all of these people were here for Critical Role. There was probably about, like a third of the room was there for that. And then when Critical Role finished, virtually everybody left.
Yes.
And then it moved in. So, but I think that's the wonderful piece about the diversity this year, is that I sat through Critical Role. I know nothing about it. Now I know about it. It's not my thing, but it was fun to watch.
Did they mention their $1.5 million?
Yes, they did.
Which they raised for a $40,000 targeted Kickstarter.
But they talked all. Obviously, it was in
the
great
words
depth.
insanely popular don't even.
Yeah, that was
doesn't even come in close to what this is.
It was interesting to watch, and I think that's what worked out nicely. Is that you thought from years past, I've got to get there 2 hours before, and you got there 2 hours before, and you sat through these programs, and actually something came up.
Right.
Where you're like, I don't know this, but actually, which is what certainly what I want from Comic-Con, is to find something that I never knew about.
Sure.
And maybe expand my,
expand your mind, man.
Well, especially if you're doing the 2001 panel. Yes. But the panel programming for me worked brilliantly.
Hats off to CCI programming division this year. Yeah. They changed it up and it worked.
Yeah.
And thank you. Yeah. And do it again next year.
Well, that's where the challenge, because obviously the conversation has been how the absence of certain companies will have affected it. Obviously, you had Lucasfilm, and you had basically the top tier of Disney. So Marvel not making a representation, also Lucasfilm as well, with Star Wars and HBO.
Yeah.
So those three were missing from Hall H and indeed from Ballroom 20. When they return, which they're going to have to next year, what with the return of Game of Thrones, the next Star Wars films, and of course with the conclusion of Infinity War and the aftermath of Captain Marvel, it's going to be another con again. It's just going to be another thing.
Well,
but so far, certainly with what they've done so far is first steps to take the heat off.
Technically, Marvel doesn't have to return. I think, isn't next year a D23 year?
Yes, but it's in Japan.
So, it will be interesting to see what happens with regards to...
It's in Japan, isn't it?
I thought it was always going to be in Anaheim.
No.
Okay.
D23 changes from country to country.
Okay.
Or is that Celebration?
That's
Celebration. No, Celebration's in Chicago.
Yeah.
No, Star Wars Celebration is Chicago. D23 is in Japan.
Okay.
D23 is in Anaheim next year.
Is it?
Yeah, that's what
Dan Barry just said. Thank you, Dan.
Okay, thank you, Dan.
I was in. Oh no! Sorry. No, hang on. D20. It was in Japan in 2018.
Okay. Wonderful. Hall H wristbands. Since this is also programming, somewhat program. How did that seem to work out for everyone?
I liked it.
Yeah.
I liked it. I liked the fact that for the second year running, you knew where you stood. That was it. for me.
Yeah.
And you
There
know,
was the slight hiccup I know on the Thursday. Was it Wednesday for Thursday or Thursday for Friday? I think it was Wednesday for Thursday. They decided to try RFID wristbands for the first panel of the day. At which point they went out with RFID tags. The idea was that you would tag the RFID and then you would tag your badge and it would link the RFID to the tag, and it was all going to go wonderfully. Except the whole thing obviously then exists with the data going into the cloud. The Wi-Fi connection crapped out on the scanners, so they couldn't actually do it, or they just struggled with the RFID.
digital versus analog, man.
You
Get
see?
the
Yes.
paper wristbands
Yeah.
out.
A plunger with these. You're in. Thump.
Thank you.
There
Yeah.
you go.
Yes.
Yeah.
Indelibly on the forehead.
There you go.
Absolutely.
Branding, tattoos,
Yes.
hot pokers.
Oh, hot pokers.
There we
That
go.
would be
Okay,
wonderful.
maybe we're talking about a different convention that I'm going to later on this year. Okay.
What? What?
Something else. Richard's mum, I'm going to have to call you by your actual name. It's pretty nasty. I sat through Riverdale, never seen before, waiting for Mayans to begin. Ended up coming home and watching Riverdale on Netflix.
That's
exactly what I want you to do.
exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That someone was able to walk into Hall H on Saturday without a problem. I did. All day, I walked into Legion.
That was Sunday.
On Sunday. On Saturday, yeah, the same drill. Once WB had finished, yeah, you could just walk in.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Once it was done.
Yeah.
Did any of you go to the masquerade? No one goes to the masquerade. Only the
People go to the masquerade.
Cool-
Some of my
the-
really good friends go to the masquerade.
cool kids don't go to the masquerade.
Oh, stop.
All the cool kids actually go to the masquerade, I think.
Right, okay. Fair
Yeah.
enough. Fair enough. Let's have a look.
I think one of the things that people did like about it, the wristbands this year, is that they changed up the colors.
Did they do it? Change it up per band as
Yes.
well.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you literally couldn't anticipate, or if you were going to do any of that.
And it was harder to duplicate the bands and in a variety of things. So obviously they look.
Sneaky bastard.
Oh no,
Yes.
it's got
Yeah.
a hologram on them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was a little bit more complicated this year, and thankfully, so I didn't hear about any problems with the actual physical wristbands themselves.
No, and I've got to say as well, the people who were going down the lines to do the wristbands were really good.
That's
really good.
That's something that came out of the comment. We'll go into the next section in a minute, but we'll talk about that very quickly because it's not on the script. About the staff and about the way that the convention was managed this year. It was top notch from top down. It was absolutely incredible, the change that makes when you have not only really positive staff that will welcome you with a smile and all right, Governor, good morning. Okay, maybe not. Maybe it wasn't that, but it's
obviously that's a regional thing.
Yeah, it's a regional thing. But no, suddenly I was going in first thing on the Saturday and be, good morning, how you doing? And just really positive about it. Now I've seen that before, but it was almost like everybody was almost, I don't know if they were told to do it, but they just did it, and it was just really positive stuff. But also
that's not the case entirely. I did get one extremely good person first thing in the morning on Thursday.
I apologize for that.
That was him.
Yeah, no.
I
This was somebody at one of the doors in the front of the convention center when I was trying to get back into the hall. I had all my stuff in line waiting, and I was worried about being let onto the show floor, and they were being extremely sarcastic and snide with me. It just wasn't called for.
Okay.
So they weren't across the board nice.
Okay.
But I would say they were 95, 98%
for the majority.
nice.
Yeah.
Yes.
There was something that was introduced this year, which was the experience design team, which was the people in the blue shirts with the toucan on the front, and they were basically the ones that you saw the majority of in certain key areas of the building. They were designed, or they were there to be more knowledgeable. They were more trained up. And they were the ones to kind of like lead the rest of the team around, and that was a cool introduction. I really enjoyed that.
There were also some other people with toucan tracker like things that you put around your lanyard, which somebody give you from CCI who had a clipboard and a counter and everything. And this, I saw this in the whole H line in 2 days. And he would give it to one person as they're walking in, and then he would take it off them as they're going into Hall H to see how long it took from the moment you enter the tent to the moment you exit the tent.
Nice.
And also, this same guy, as I said, had a huge tablet. He's taking data down, and he's walking up and down, and he's clicking every single person, and then he's doing data on it. Cool.
So that's at the end of the day, that's pure metrics, and that's they are learning as they go.
Yeah.
So that's cool. Excellent. Right. The next thing on here is front of Con walkway. This was the closure of Harbour Drive, which basically took place from the Marriott Marina all the way down to the Hilton Bayfront, closing that road off, and also going back to the top of Gaslamp. This was something that had been on the cards or been wanted to happen from the city's perspective, and also the convention centre for about 5 years. This was the year that they finally managed to get all the jigsaw pieces together to make it happen. It effectively turned the Harbour Drive into one big shuttle park, bus park, 2 lanes closer to the Marriott were to get into the parking structure underneath the convention centre, but the rest of it was just admin and moving around of the shuttles, the free shuttles that are provided for Comic-Con. Then that also meant that the driveway that's directly in front of the convention centre, the concourse directly in front, was completely open to the public. It was hilarious to see. First thing on Thursday, and as I saw it first thing on Saturday, or Friday and Saturday as well, because obviously people who did have just the Friday and Saturday badges, they just come down for the first day. So for the first couple of hours, people are just walking on the sidewalk and the road is completely empty. It's like this needs reprogramming. And then someone just went, step on, and then boom, everyone just went, this is brilliant. Just moving through this, the ability to move through. I will say that as the afternoon goes on, the shade actually comes down and hits directly onto the sidewalk. Did you notice?
Yes.
Yeah. So actually walking on the sidewalk was better because you were in the shade, but then to move quicker, you just put some sun cream on and go down the way. So movement was so much faster.
And you could really see this at 5 o'clock or at 7 o'clock when the hall opened, when the hall released, is that people were just everywhere in the front, and we could finally walk and have enough room. Brilliant CCI, brilliant city of the San Diego.
Yeah. I don't think there's a great deal we can add to this because this was just awesome. I hope it's something that remains a constant. I mean, I know the locals. I mean, if you did get the chance to cross the Harbour Drive Bridge and have a joyous view looking over the bridge of all the people coming into San Diego and discovering that they couldn't, and being basically shunted back over the bridge again. That was looking through the sort of like the windscreens and they're going, what? What? And it was quite amusing.
I got this view at 5 o'clock in the morning when I was going into underground parking, you know, where we had to be divided into the permit holders and the non-permit holders, and the non-permit holders are going,
not happy at all.
It was, you know, all of the U-turns happening. There were a few suggestions for tweaks. I think everybody at the Talkback panel really liked it. There were some suggestions for tweaks. One, the scooters, yes. Oh no.
We'll do the scooters in a second.
No. While I understand that their desire to do the parking areas on that didn't really work out, and sometimes they got let through. I think the security, where the badge only points occurred, i.e. across, you know, with the railroad tracks.
It was the two of the railroad tracks up on the ramp going up onto the concourse, and it was also on either end of the.
Those needed to be a little bit more secured. There was a number of people who end up getting through those with scooters. I mean, I saw a few scooters in the walkway, and they should have been there, and people who were non-badge holders. Now, obviously, there was people getting their badges first time, people going in for their Thursday badge and having to be admitted to a badge only area. So that's it. But I think the security needs to be a little bit stronger at those points.
Okay. I saw a guy walking his dog in front of Hall H on Sunday who didn't have a badge. He was just walking his dog.
Yeah.
I was thinking, I thought it was kind of closed off, but hey.
Clearly not.
Yeah.
Clearly not.
Yeah.
A couple of comments. Let's go back. We have just to quickly go back to the line management. We got Richard's mum saying that's the kind of thing they do at Disney to work out how long the lines are for writers for the RFID tags. Dan Berry, Disneyland do the same thing, or time thing for lines. They have an RFID card that they give some people at the start of line. When they reach the end of the, they turn it in. I think it would be like a Bluetooth thing would be better. Just something they could just, like a GPS, so they could just track how things would work. As an attendee, says Chuck Cook, I thought closing Harbour Drive was fantastic. Chuck Cook, everyone U-turning under the Harbour Drive footbridge, though, and yeah, that's why.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
I will say that the GPS tracking was abysmal. And this obviously is not a CCI issue. Just trying to use Lyft or Lime or any of these other GPS stuff or maps in the whole downtown area was, I was regularly like 2 or 3 blocks off. So the GPS thing may not work.
Sure. Richard's mum again, I agree that closing Harbour Drive was fantastic. The one thing I would wish to see changed, everyone should walk on their right, not try to go between people coming the other way. Wishful thinking, I guess. No, in civilized countries, we travel on the left. Okay, so I think I'd agree, Mark. In this
well, when you're on,
don't the English?
No, when you're on when you're on the London Underground, the signs say stand on the right, walk on the left. So yeah, but I mean, it's a good idea, really. You're going one lot on that way and one lot on this side, and we have a little barrier.
It did kind of naturally go that way on the Harbour Drive Bridge, which I thought was interesting.
It always does.
Just naturally.
It always does. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I think generally it worked well. I think that's one of the few things that could do with any tweaking, like I say, possibly the positioning of the security. But beyond that, the general concept of it worked incredibly well.
That positioning, adding more security.
Okay, fair enough.
I would go so far as
the shuttles worked. I mean, I used them a couple of times, and they just worked.
I still
think it's one of the best things that CCI have ever introduced.
Yeah. Well, and the city of San Diego,
sure,
and the convention center. One of the things they may want to do is with the shuttles, push them out a little bit more so that there's a little bit more room for the people waiting for the shuttles. Minor tweaks, No
worries. No, that makes sense. That makes sense. Cool. So not a great deal more to add to that.
Oh, also shade for the people waiting for the shuttles.
There was some. I thought there were some umbrellas out.
I don't know, but I'm just saying.
Certainly down by the Hall H tent, I thought there was.
Yeah, but I'm talking about for the people who are waiting for the shuttle buses on Harbour Drive.
Yeah.
That, and I know that there's a rule about not having structures within 10 feet of the convention center, but that's not 10 feet of the convention center. That they may be able to set up a tent or two, like in the pink shuttle route or the blue shuttle route, whatever shuttle buses were down there, just so you don't have to stand out in the sun for 20 minutes waiting for a bus.
Fair enough. Chuck Cook, what I'd like to see is even more is if people would clue in that they need to stop in the middle of any sort of walkway. They would step to the side. Yes, I think that's not just Harbour Drive, sir. Yes. That's inside the convention centre. That's anywhere and everywhere. And I'm not going to lie, because I was on my phone a lot doing updates and tweets. I was on my phone through the car and then just stopped, and I just felt. Oh God, I felt it. I became that person.
Did you stop at the top of an escalator as well?
No, I
If you
didn't.
did.
No, I didn't.
That's when you need a punch in the face.
No, I didn't. No, I didn't.
So I
Thank God.
saw that 3 or 4 times as well,
Oh my
going
God.
up to Sales Pavilion and people just stopping at the top. It's like, no, listen, there are thousands of people coming up here. You need to just step to the side, just a little
Very
bit.
good. Right.
So the
go for
next section is requires audience participation, and we are going to be asking, what was your favorite new or unexpected thing? And I'm going to start us off with, what was your new favorite restaurant?
Okay, very quickly then. So this is where you need to jump in on the chat. Come on then, let's make this interactive. So go for it. Yeah. So
what was your new favorite restaurant that you've never been to before, that was just kind of like, well, they have an open seat, so I'm going to go in there and see what it's about. The Spanish, for me, there was a Spanish restaurant that was directly across from the strip club. The Steak Club on 5th Avenue. I walked in there going, I just need a light. This was 3 or 4 o'clock. I didn't have any lunch. I need a light thing. I was going to a party and I knew there was going to be food there. So I didn't want a big meal. I went in, I had a tapas, I had a drink. They had open seats. They had an open, communal chairs. And it was easy and it was good. It was really good. I recommend a Spanish place for a quick bite.
Fair enough.
Restaurant?
Okay. Because I didn't actually eat properly at all throughout the course of the entire convention, I'm not going to lie, I did kind of let myself go very badly. However, I will say it wasn't a case of it was not new, or it's not a new building. It was just somewhere I'd never actually been before. It's somewhere that I've seen advertising. I think they follow me on Twitter, and they just kind of their updates keep rolling around. Brian's 24, and this is where Alyssa now just goes, oh, it's all starch and it's cheap food. And
no, it was great.
It's great. It's open. It's open 24
good.
hours, and it serves breakfast. So if you know, certainly from the UK, it's a greasy spoon.
Yeah. Well,
it's
no.
Greasy spoon. It's a little bit.
No, it's better than a greasy spoon. I had a waffle there, and it was real Belgian waffle, and it was really good.
Very good. I had the Philly cheesesteak, and it was gorgeous. Caroline had
tater tots.
Tater tots, because is Caroline. She just loves tater tots. She can't get them in the UK, so she loves them.
This was down 5th.
Yep,
it's just straight down 5th. It's a ways down 5th.
Yeah, I would. It's something that I'm going to be introducing on the site. It's recommendations for restaurants and downtown eateries. But that's certainly somewhere that I'd recommend. If you've sort of gone to San Diego Comic-Con, you've kind of heard of this place, but not actually got the chance to go up that far. Yeah, check it out. Okay.
I would say Ralph's protein bars. Oh, sorry, no. I would say the when you do behind the convention center, you walk all the way past, and you were saying about the spaceship restaurant, whatever.
Yeah.
If you keep going past and you're in Harbor Village or whatever it's called, there's a really small restaurant there that overlooks the harbor. Very small, only about 40 people in there. We went in there the other day, and it was really, really nice. And because there was 2 of us, we could sit outside. And they were really quick with food as well. So there, I'm sorry, I really can't remember what it is, what it was called, but they were really quick as well. Great food as well. But fish tacos.
It's just he's pulled it up. Yeah, okay. Right. The thing is, these were $12 up on the sales. Fish taco stand. Alyssa didn't get any. I didn't get any.
No, I had eaten them beforehand. For $12, it was a good meal. You had 2 fish tacos. You've got a little bit of chips. You had some other things. I forget what.
Chips? Proper chips?
No, not proper chips.
Crisps.
No, they were taco thingies.
Crisps.
Tortillas.
You know, it's Mexican. It's Mexican. I'm not a big Mexican fan. Regardless.
Oh, no, that's just happens.
Yeah, it was well done. And yes, so I have to second what Dan Barry said.
Yeah.
And yeah, absolutely. $12, yes.
But, his wife, Phaedra, who's absolutely lovely, indeed, as is Chuck. I didn't want to disparage the evil. But no, they are wonderful. Listen, the Spanish restaurant you're talking about is Cafe Sevilla.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to check that out. And for yourself, it's Seaport Village.
Seaport Village.
So there you go.
They had a mango ceviche thing for $15. That was a great tide over snack like lunch.
Richard's mum. And yes, I spotted these, and if I didn't change in my pocket, I've had one. I had a sausage in a bun with onions from a car outside the Marriott. It was delicious.
Yeah,
Yes.
no, I've eaten there as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, lovely.
There were loads of those.
Yeah, job's done. Thank you.
I didn't get the chance to go check out the food trucks that they were dotted around, including the ones that were over at the Experience. But yeah, they're always high quality when they come to San Diego. So there we go. Right, the next thing up is
What was your favorite bit of free swag? Something you didn't expect and you didn't pay for.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what. We'll do Alyssa's first.
That's not mine.
Oh no, sorry.
Sorry,
but this is the other one. This would be my other wife. Good God. That's gonna bite me in the ass.
Thankfully, she's
No.
Yeah, thank God. So this is from Caroline. She got this from the sideshow booth, and it is the Infinity Gauntlet with some very nice raised bits on there.
Yeah.
Very, very tasty, very nice. And I think they just kind of like announced it every once in a while. Just you went to claim them, they're just available on the. Very nice.
Yeah, I want that.
You want that, do you?
Yeah, I want that.
Well, tough.
Yeah, I know.
Yoink.
You missed it. It.
I'm gonna think of mine in a second. You.
Okay. I went to the Nat Geo Mars party, and traditionally what they do is they let the people take swag. So one of the stuff that, some of the Mars stuff that they got, they had a great selection of little things laying around. First season DVD set was great, but this was the highlight of mine. Yes.
How about that for a bum perch? Wonderful.
Just something that I'm gonna use. I'm keeping this in my. I love it. This is my pillow, and I love this. I'm gonna do two because I'm one of the major.
Oh, you're one of those, are you?
I'm one of those.
What?
Yes. This is a Conan pop that I got, and I don't know if you can actually see it.
They're just about. There is signs.
That it's signed by Conan. I got it signed by Conan.
Look at that.
It's a Hellboy Conan pop sign. Totally.
Go on then, Mark. If you could please just take the baton.
It's a good question. We got a lot of swag.
We got a lot of shit.
Yeah, we did. We're gonna have to post some stuff back. We really are.
I've been more and more selective about.
No, I haven't. I've been like that. Take it all.
Yeah,
take it
that
all.
I accept. I'm giving you a moment to think.
No, I know. Actually, I know. However, sadly, they were giving it out free, but I had previously bought it.
Oh man!
Yeah, exactly.
What was it?
If you went to the Legion M Lounge on Saturday afternoon, they were giving you the brand new book from Leonard Maltin.
Nice.
And he was there to sign it. And
nice.
you could just sit there and have a chat with him. They had 200 copies to give out.
Wow. Okay.
Wow.
And it's a really nice book as well. I mean, it's his story about fandoms and whatever
He
else.
is. I mean, he was introduced on stage at the Eisners, and it was along the lines of. If you are looking for an encyclopedia of film and pop culture, he's not an encyclopedia. He's the midway.
Yeah,
he's just he's the hitchhiker's guide of it. It's just
agreed. Yeah,
amazing.
Yeah.
Right. If I'm going to bring mine in,
I'm going to follow. No. Wait a minute. While he's doing that.
No.
Yeah. While he's doing that, hang on one sec. Okay.
I'm doing mine.
Okay.
It is, of course, the Chucky bars from the exclusives from the.
Free?
No, those are from over there. These are yours.
I know, but I'm saying this is free swag.
Okay, let's discuss free chocolate, shall we? Thank you very much indeed for allowing me to segue into this. Yes, we are. It was one of my highlights of my week, which was the opportunity I got to give away some chocolate to the front of the Hall H line. So on Saturday, basically, due to some fickle finger of fate, I managed to get myself a golden ticket on last year's chocolate, and I decided that what I was going to do is use that to give away free coffee to the front of the Hall H line. Because, you know, Stephen Amella's done it, and if that brainless pillock can do it, anyone can do it. I mean,
any brainless pillock can do it.
Any brainless moron can give out coffee. At which point the convention centre turned around and said, "Okay, you're talking hot water, coffee, milk, sugar, all the no, it's a thing. You can't do it. Just give out chocolate bars." Fine. At which point they then allocated me some chocolate bars. And then that became a thing. And I just ended up having to go into like the offices at the convention centre and have pictures taken with like the chef. And so like, and then we took it all down. We filmed a video which got put on the official, turned into this thing.
Free swag.
It was free swag for them.
For other people.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, let's not forget that Leonard wasn't actually handing them out.
No,
It was actually Gil Cabrera, where
Absolutely.
Leonard was at the back doing this.
Excuse me.
Doing regal waves.
Excuse me. I had my people do the work. I had my people. I had my. I was going to say my bitches, but that would just come back and bite me on the
yes.
No, I had my people do the work. Yeah. Look, if you want to discuss how to do it, I'll have my people.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me at all.
We go.
Yeah.
To be fair though, it was a lot of fun. If I will talk favorite swag, I mean, like I said, I did the Jeff Johns for myself. Did the Jeff Johns signing, and he was very kind to do a Batman sketch for me. Which was so that's a very nice, very nice little Batman sketch.
Absolutely.
Admittedly, he also then turned around and he introduced started the whole thing by saying he knew who I was, which boing, brain bouncing out of my door. And then mentioned about the hangout, and he said, "Yeah, I've seen you post about that," and yeah,
nice.
And at which point he then gave me his personal email.
So let's get him on the hangout.
We are going to be getting, hopefully, Jeff Johns on the hangout in the next season, which will be rather nice. Anyway, let's go
back into the chat, because we have one person that's talking about, I can't remember it. Where is it? The Mayans patch from Richards and Mom. Do you know what that is?
No, I don't. But that was handed out, I believe. I think it was mid-panel, because I came in mid-panel and they didn't do it at the end, so I haven't actually seen this thing. Following that panel was the Legion panel, and they handed out free T-shirts, and I left before the end because I went to the CCI talkback, and you have no idea how bitter I am about that.
Yeah.
Oh man, Violet Kruger. Are you ready for this one?
I've seen this in the flesh, by the way. It's not Violet's. I saw somebody else's yesterday. It's amazing.
A Ready Player One VHS tape autographed by Ernest Cline. Wow.
At the most,
wow.
They think there was 200. At the most, but chances are there are about 100.
Good grief. Chuck Cook, the free swag at Her Universe Fashion Show was fantastic. Everyone got a copy of Ashley's book. Oh, well, they've got to get rid of it somehow. Star Wars T-shirts, a Hallmark Ray Itty Bitty, coupons, and a free pair of Zenny classes up to $250. I'm being smart-ass there. I actually met up with Ashley on Sunday and said, yeah, I met up with her. She's
Englishman, smartass.
I know, whatever. Yeah, well, something new. I think I'm bringing a new flavour to it. So we go. Chuck Cook, those chocolate bars were so good. We bought the very last 4. You would have bought the very last 4 of the additional printing of them, considering that they were running out on Saturday and had to order 75 pounds of Belgian chocolate to do some more over the weekend. They churned through that stuff. We got ourselves Dr. Skyhawk. Got 2. Got to log off. That's something else. Traveling back to Akron, Ohio. Sorry. Have yourself a safe journey. Carly Mid. I was lucky enough to get my Arrow signing and only missed the first 10 minutes of Supergirl.
That's how you do it.
That's exactly how you do it. Yeah. So there we go. No, I think while you take your chocolate back. Fine. I mean, I snuck in to the CCI committee meeting on the Monday before Comic-Con, and they did say that they were giving out more swag than they have done in recent years. That was because at the end of the day, everything that is given out at Comic-Con, everything is signed off on. There's not a thing that leaves a booth for free which isn't run through CCI first. and so they would know the just the sheer quantity of this stuff. So yeah, I personally didn't see so much on the floor. It's something that you had to kind of go and get your hands on. You had to make some effort to get a hold of it, but once you did it, it was good stuff. It was good quality stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's cool. Right, your new favorite unexpected booth, large and booth, large and small. Okay, that's a good little comment. So go on then, Alyssa.
The booth that I was most, if this is new or unexpected, the booth that I was most intrigued by was, believe it or not, was the Comic-Con Museum booth.
Bit small.
It was small. I'm not talking about the booth, the booth itself, but I loved the fact that the Comic-Con Museum was had a booth there. They had their PR guy, Davey, manning the booth the whole time. Did a great job really interacting with people. You got to sign up for a lot of memberships. You got some free swag. And they really were talking of the museum. And that to me was brilliant. That was brilliant marketing, very professionally done. And I greatly appreciated knowing more about the museum.
It's something that they have to do, because as we discussed on the Hangout before, the museum is a long way away. At this point, they are still in the fundraising stage of putting the museum together. They have to raise a ballpark of around $30 million. They are nowhere near that yet, but they can't actually do anything with the construction of the building until they've raised that money. So we're looking at the most expeditious 2020 to 2021. So this booth was the first step of a continuing marketing.
It's a long tail thing. It's a long tail thing.
But if you look at it in comparison to how Con HQ that was rolled out with a larger booth, with a more media focused interactiveness, and only having the buttons and not having, not really having the package setups, the incentives to do this sign up. When I went by the museum booth just after their panel, there was a queue with line breaks to sign up for memberships for the museum.
That's what you want.
That's what you need that, and that was very different than the Con HQ.
Yeah.
So that's
there's something I brought up with Adam in an interview which will be posted either later on today, first thing in the morning, which was basically talking about the potential. And there's also a promotional video. There's a lot of they've launched their social for the museum.
Yes.
Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook and Twitter. So if you want to get in on that, I think it's only like 250 followers at the moment.
Yeah, exactly.
Considering that it's using exactly the same message that Comic-Con HQ did. The Comic-Con for Comic-Con fans by fans, 52 weeks out of the year, continuing the Comic-Con feeling throughout the year. And I went, yeah, that's exactly the same tagline that Comic-Con HQ used. And let's remind ourselves of how that went. Badly. It fell on its ass. I mean, myself and Mark find it highly amusing that the actual Comic-Con HQ, no one actually uses it, no one interacts with it, and yet they have this Twitter going off like it's actually still a thing. So yeah, it's very, very amusing. But no, at the end of the day, this is an enterprise which is going to happen. It's just going to take some time, so it's an ongoing thing.
Their Twitter handle is Comic-Con Museum.
Yes, that's something I didn't know, that they've rebranded that whole pop. Because I have been making smart-ass comments that it's the Comic-Con Center for Popular Culture, the museum, not a museum. But no, it's not. It's Comic-Con Museum now.
It is COMICONMUSEUM.
Yeah.
Because I don't know how to spell museum.
No. Well, I mean, the thing that Adam was concerned about was, and it's something that does come up with some places and buildings out there. They are afraid of using the word museum because they don't want to feel old and dusty. But then again, you've got the term Comic-Con in there, which does give it a little bit more of a contemporary spin. And the word museum does imply what the space is going to be. And I think that's what they need, is a unified idea that people can hitch their mental processes on what this thing is going to be. And museum kind of gives a little bit more of a solidified way of what that's going to be. So it shows a lot of potential.
Who wants to go next?
Oh, right. Okay.
Or
No. My favorite.
Go to chat.
No, well, okay. Richard's mom. I was going to message you about this because I wanted to just clarify. Is it the V.E. Neal?
V. Neal.
Oh, V. Neal.
She's the lady on who does.
Oh, is it on Face Off?
Yeah, Face Off.
She was at a booth that was actually doing face makeup. Horror was very fascinating. There you go. That was almost certainly, says Chuck, the Cinema Makeup's Cool booth. They are amazing. Yes. So that was interesting.
She was right out on the floor, and you just go up and talk to her, get a selfie. It was gorgeous. I love V. Neal. She's so fun at Face Off. Yes, that is one of my favorite TV shows.
For myself, certainly for a small booth, it's a booth that I didn't even know existed. I thought that the guy just was a myth, a phantom. I didn't even know he had a booth. As I've mentioned on this hangout before, my favorite artist is a guy called Kim Jung-gi, who is a Japanese artist. He is part of a collective of artists, but Kim Jung-gi is somebody who does large pieces, and he goes straight to paper from ink. No pencil reference first, no sketches. He just goes straight to ink to paper. It's incredible to watch. The guy's got a booth. He's not like somewhere in a room somewhere lording it over other artists, going, "I'm infinitely better than you," which he is. He has a booth, and I went down to watch him, and he was doing signings of his books and doing sketches, and I was just blown away. So there was that, which was very impressive. I did get the chance to go and check the Bill Sienkiewicz booth, which was it was very, very good. Bit basic in terms of its layout. It was very much more like a gallery, but I mean, just the stuff that he was showcasing was just amazing. Alex Ross, I finally got to check out his booth. Apparently Alex was wandering around the booth at some point throughout the course of the thing, but that was very impressive. The DC booth was rather good this year. I quite like the layout of that. That was rather nice. I don't know if anyone saw
I didn't even walk into it.
You didn't even check it out?
the one with the Meg thing underneath it?
No. No. That was something else. Never mind. Okay. No,
it doesn't matter.
Never mind. Keep drinking. So yeah, what else? I mean, it felt like the Artist Alley was smaller this year, but knowing my luck or just recollection, it was just myself and the way it felt possibly a little bit more condensed. I don't know. Yeah.
Do you know, there was nothing that stood out for me. Everything else sort of felt like it was there before, and I'm like, okay, nice.
The floor flowed really nice.
Yeah, it did. Content. So I think it's not a new booth. It's not an unexpected booth or anything else like that. It's just the fact that he's back again, and we met for the first time ever last year. So I went to see him. A friend of mine, Kenny Keel, who has done this amazing colouring in book about Scarface, which is stay-at-home Scarface. So instead of guns, he's got a baby.
Hey,
are we surprised?
In his sphere of interest.
Yeah. No, wait. This gets even better. So he's got a little table in the small press area. I went over to see him, and he said that the day before, Riz Ahmed stopped by.
Was he in town?
He was in town. He was on a panel.
Okay.
Yeah, but he stopped by. He's walking past. He sees Kenny's book. He's like, "Look at this." Picks it up. Blah blah blah. Kenny is not at the desk. Oops. But his helper got a photo
of him not in the booth.
No, he got a selfie with Riz, but not with a book.
Oh,
God.
I had to laugh. I really did. But look, come on. But yeah, no. It was nice to see Kenny. You know, the fact that he's here every year as well. He used to write. He still writes for Mad Magazine. He's a very good guy.
Okay, let's move it on a little bit further. So we got Chuck Cook. Alex Ross's booth makes me want to rob a bank.
He's
It's
got a point.
it's the only way you can afford anything on that booth. The man knows how to market himself.
Yeah.
Right. We've got ourselves the next one: trailer, movie, TV panel, shocker.
Well,
Shocker?
Kim, when I wrote this out, it was more along the lines of what was the big media surprise of the week, and I'm gonna go to Mark on this one first because for me, there really wasn't one.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
Mark?
Something that I saw or what's come out of San Diego.
Either one.
Okay. Well, there's a lot of stuff that's come out, but really nothing has punched as heavy as it should have done. I don't think. There's been a lot of piss taking of the Aquaman trailer.
Well,
I liked it.
It's got shit CGI.
Yeah, and there was
It's what?
Very bad CGI.
Okay. Fair
Yeah,
enough.
but in terms of myself, I sat through I saw Castle Rock, which I wanted to see.
Right, you did. Go on,
and I was very, very impressed. It's like this sprawling piece, and you can just sense certain things are going to interlink and certain things aren't, and it felt like Stephen King, but it also didn't feel like Stephen King. It felt like modern TV telling. It felt like you were almost entering into the work of like David Chase of The Sopranos, David Simon of The Wire, stuff like that. It kind of felt bizarre that it was at Comic-Con, but at the same time it didn't. So I mean that stood out for me as well. But then I saw The Passage, which was the first episode of the trilogy of books by, is it James Cronin?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah. So they were showing the first episode of that, which doesn't air until February. And Mark Paul Gosselaar is in it as well. So if you watched Saved by the Bell when you were a kid, you know who he is. So I think there are a lot of people who are in that panel to see the blonde locks and whatever else. I'm afraid to say he's got old, and the blonde locks have gone a little bit. But it was interesting to be there and see something that far in advance, and yet they're still holding off showing it for another 6 months.
Okay, when is Alex? When is Jack Ryan out?
End of August.
The reason why I was asking was because they had the show. They did a Jack Ryan panel. This is Amazon Studios. At which point Gil Cabrera. I missed this, by the way. Gil Cabrera, who's the chairman of the convention center, took himself and he took some friends in to see this panel, and he was telling me the story that basically they had the showrunners up on stage, and it was just the showrunners up there, and he's just going, they're not just going to have the showrunners talking for an hour, are they?
No, the panel was like an hour and a half.
It was an hour and a half. How what? Are they just going to talk for that? At which point they went, no, do you want to watch the first episode? And they just showed the first episode.
Nice.
They showed it out.
Nice.
How was it received?
Apparently very, very well.
Nice.
It was very, very good.
Nice.
It reminded he was telling me that story, and it reminded me of the. It was incomplete. I mean, it was the draft edit and all of that. It just took me back to the story of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah.
And that first panel when they said,
great.
And they're going, okay, we've been told by the ABC that we're not able to show you certain clips, or we're not allowed to show you the first episode. So what we're going to do is show you some test footage. This test footage will be 45 minutes long. I thought that was a really nice, cute line. That was rather cool. But no, they did. They showed Jack Ryan, and apparently it went down very, very well indeed.
I will amend my earlier statement and say there is one thing that I heard about I did not see. Apparently, you told me about it. Apparently, Johnny Depp is somebody that should not be on stage.
He's okay. At the end of the these are accusations. These are accusations. As far as I'm aware, there wasn't any legal. I mean, it all came out in his divorce with Amber Heard.
Yeah,
I mean, at the end of the day, the main controversy is the fact that we are talking to people who did go through a very acrimonious divorce, and they were
in the same room,
in the same
holding room together.
As well, I mean, I guarantee that there were some people moving them, choreographing them apart from each other.
But you still instantly recognise somebody who's got white hair.
True. Well, he probably came in via the makeup truck, because he did come out in full Griswold.
Griswold.
Is that his name? Is that his
That's
name?
National Lampoon.
No, what's the title of the film then?
Crimes. I don't know.
There you go then.
I haven't
It's
got a clue.
Fantastic Beasts 2, Crimes of. I thought it was Griswold. There you go. So you did. Anyway, he came out. He very much in like Loki for Marvel Studios a couple of years ago. He came out and did basically a full speech. I think it was Aisha Tyler did something along the lines of. So we have to talk about the big bad of the film. Sound blacks out. He comes out and does a full speech in character. But Grindelwald is the name. We don't care. Oh, I don't care. He's a baddie. He's the baddie in the film. That's all. Yeah. I don't remember the things like that. Anyway, right.
Any comments? Any media stuff that people saw?
Sure. I mean, I've got mine.
Oh,
done mine.
well, I thought you did yours.
No.
We're talking about something.
No.
He talked about something, didn't he?
No.
I don't know.
Okay. For myself, the only one that I really saw, because I did sit through the WBDC panel.
The what?
WBDC. WBDC. Yeah, the WBDC. You son of a bitch. WBDC panel. Godzilla, King of the Monsters, which just looks stunning.
Nice.
I like the fact that they've just seriously ramped up the scale of these monsters. The whole idea is that they are the new Titans. They are the Titans of gods of old. That they are buried underneath, and they are that the human race is basically a disease. The Titans were designed by nature to eradicate us because that is their purpose. And they just come out, and the phrase "let them fight." That's it. That's
nice.
And we're talking super scale. So we're talking like Mothra is like yay big, and it's huge, and it looks. The sense of scale is mammoth, and it looks incredible.
One other thing I will bring up actually is the buzz around Bumblebee. Which did really well, and I think two reasons why it did very, very well. And I know it wasn't the huge thing that came out of Hall H over the weekend, was the fact that the footage looks fun, whereas the Transformers have not really been that fun. And also, what really helps them on this is who the director is, Travis Knight, because obviously he runs Laker Studios. Laker Studios are, one of the greatest animation studios working at the moment. He's going to bring something different to it. So I think people were very much open to going, right, okay, this is going to be completely different to metal hitting metal all the time. We're going to have something a little bit more not serious, but a little bit out of the Transformers universe, maybe.
But not Michael Bay.
Not Michael Bay. Michael Bay's machismo either. But yeah, certainly that seemed to get a little bit more of hype because of who was directing it, really.
I'm down with that.
Yeah.
I'm down with that. Okay, the next thing down the line, I mean, like I say, if there's anything that you spotted this weekend, jump in and do let us know. And don't forget, if you're watching this after the event, if you're not watching us live, jump in with the comments down below. Let us know what you spotted at Comic-Con this year. Not only for this topic, for all of them. Let us know below what your thoughts have been. Next one, offsite. We're going to start with Alyssa, because you said you didn't do too many. You did a few.
I did one.
Okay. Which one?
Yeah, Jack Ryan.
No, you didn't. You did two. Because I was in the room when you did it, and I've got video footage.
Okay, I did two. I did two offsites. And and to be honest with you, both of them were equally as fun. One was the Omni technical offsite. We'll get into that one in a bit more.
Okay.
But the primary one was the Jack Ryan offsite. I did the escape room, and great swag, great escape room. Got an interview with the creative director of the escape room, and which we'll be posting at some point later on, in conjunction with a co-writer, Doctor Who 42, who also did the actual VR experience. That VR experience was, I think they took 100 people a day. It was pretty intense to get through. I was also able to see the control room for that VR experience, and it was a regular production, a concert venue production for screens, multiple cameras, constant feedback, attendee participant, and it was being broadcast on the main screen. So you could see what the person was going through. You could see, and you could see all of what was happening around it. Brilliant. Brilliant. I mean, this was right up there with Blade Runner for me.
That's a tough bar to reach.
It is. But they, they brought it, and they brought the technology, and they brought it big time.
Fair enough. Okay. Offsites?
I only did one.
Which was?
F-exhibition.
F-exhibition is an interesting one because you had lots of little mini experiences.
They always do.
You want to talk us through which ones you did?
Well, I only really did. Thank you very much. And a free bag and free pins. But yeah, no, I had FX 3D me as well, but the line was a little bit long. I'm like, well,
that seemed like a bit of a strange thing to have set
it was
up
there last year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so you just put yourself into one of the shows. I did that, so round, and they had the Simpsons and Family Guy in the passage. I did the Family Guy one where you basically put yourself in between Peter and the chicken having a fight. I kind of thought that was fun. But that was it. I mean, I walked and passed all of it.
Sorry, I've just seen a comment from Violet Kruger. Please, can you qualify which VR experience you're talking about?
The Jack Ryan. The Jack Ryan one.
10 hours?
Yes. I mean, I suspect what she's saying is that she queued up the night before for this, and
I wasn't that bad for this.
I think it's the amount of time it takes to get.
Yeah, it was. I think what they basically said is they count.
Wow.
Yeah, to get through it.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, Jack Ryan. Wow.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking VR, that the Future Tech Live thing that we were talking about, that VR left, right, and centre.
Right. But
thinking camping 10 hours up there for that.
The Jack Ryan VR experience was you were put into the verse.
Okay.
You had to one of the things that you had to do, which we saw in depth, was the walking. You had to walk narrow plank between two buildings, but people would think two buildings, and there was a lot of facial, there was a lot of movement of air and these types of things. So you would think that you would actually feel like you were walking between these two buildings. We're on a platform that was about this big. So it was really fun to see how they were going through this big, long rappel that felt like you were falling forever. In reality, you were falling for 10 feet.
Not Jack Daniels.
Yeah, no, Dr. Pepper.
Dr. Pepper.
Dr. Pepper.
Okay. I mean, should be lined up at 5 a.m., but they only take 100. Is that during the day?
They kept taking VIPs in front of us. Yes, that's right, because if you'd done it once, you could go back in again, and they would take those as well. So, yeah.
I don't.
Yeah.
No, there was a VIP list. There were 3 when I went up there. There were 3. There was general, VIP, and press.
I got VIP, but I didn't take it. I didn't take it at anyone's spot. I didn't do it. So there you go.
Either way,
that's me giving back to you.
Shout out to GB Reviews for doing 10 hours.
Yeah.
I mean,
absolutely.
For myself.
Sorry, just to interrupt. I completely remembered that I just did another one as well. The Laker experience.
No, that counts as offsite.
That's an offsite. It's just the fact that it was open so early. Now,
I was one of the first 8 people.
Now, obviously, I've already mentioned, Laker and Travis Knight and whatever else. So for me, it was incredible. Granted, I'd already seen them last year, but I love the fact that they brought the animators as well.
Was it? I mean, I know they talked about it being 3 times the size. Was it reflected in what you saw?
No, I don't think it was. I think the size towards the back where you had the photo.
Oh, with the new film.
Yeah, Missing Link. I think that's probably where most of it was. But I just found it fascinating with the people in there, the actual animators, going, look, this is the glue that we use, and this is all of this, and this is how you do it. And it was really interesting. Plus, also, it helped that there was some English people in there as well, didn't it?
Yes.
Which was really funny, because I saw a video that you put on there, and I was watching it. I'm like, no, we don't get many over here, Alyssa, so it's fine. So I'm listening, and I'm going, that guy's from Hull.
He is from Hull.
And then as I'm walking
I know, because I found him in the English pub later on.
But then as I'm walking in, some guy stopped me and asked me about my T-shirt.
I know.
And it turned out that he used to go in the same city as me. I'm like, this is crazy.
Just to go back to the talkback panel for one point, one of the suggestions in the talkback panel was that we suggest that that perhaps CCI can suggest to the offsites that they open up on Monday.
Because the concern was that certainly over the course of the weekend, and certainly with the offsites that were available beyond, say, on the other side of the convention center, on the other side of the tracks, at the end of the day, they are open to the public, which means anyone can dive in, not without a badge. The suggestion was, and I wanted to possibly flip it from the suggestion. I don't know if you saw what I was saying. The idea was that it was badge only on Thursdays and Sundays, open to the public on Fridays and Saturdays. I suggested flipping that. Open to the public and anybody else, so anyone who wants to take part Thursdays and Sundays, badge only. Or even just general public on the Thursday.
How about no, general public Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Well, there is that as well. No, but this goes back to the old argument about why don't we have Comic-Con Monday to Friday. At the end of the day, the exhibitors can't afford it. They've got to get transport over here. They're basically effectively shutting up shop for a full week. They've got to transport all this stuff. So I understand the whole idea of doing a Wednesday through Sunday. I totally understand that. But for the offsites, if you can encourage them to set them up, because those are empty, vacant lots.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, though, it's the same drill. You have to pay for the lots. You have to pay for your staff. You have to basically administrate all of that.
Then perhaps a fee.
Yeah.
On Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday,
$10.
Okay.
That makes sense.
I would pay $10 to do the Jack Ryan experience.
So the great thing about so like I say, the Laker thing, it also raised some serious cash. The Laker thing, Laker Live, it was very, very. I thought it was very high quality. I thought it was very good.
Yeah.
And like you say, it opened up on the Friday before. So basically, it was opened up for the weekend before Comic-Con. So if you had gotten into town early, it was something for you to experience.
And I bet you
got you really into the Comic-Con.
And I bet you any money they made so much money. Even before people had turned up into on the Tuesday, they'd already made a shed load of money because they had a shop there. Yeah, exactly.
And isn't that like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday sell merch?
There you go. There you go. No.
Yeah.
Chuck Cook, we stood in line in the sun for the sci-fi human claw machine for a couple of hours. When we where was this thing? I heard about this. When we finally got there, where we could see it, the staff were all sitting around doing nothing. We asked why. They said that the motor holding up the people was underpowered and they had to wait every 10 minutes to let it cool off. Jesus.
Did they not understand Comic-Con people?
The heat in... Well,
sorry, but look at a letter.
One person waited for 4 hours and her box had a stress ball.
Leave that stress ball out beforehand.
Do you think? You'd think we bailed. You have to test things and have some respect for the time you're asking attendees to commit. It was held at the Children's Museum.
Oh, I did see people lining up, but I wasn't sure.
There you go. Fair enough. Okay, right. The next and last thing on this favorite new or unexpected CCI Con procedure. Okay, you've added this to the list. You've obviously got something.
Well, no. I it was more like, which one do you prefer? The new programming, the front of walkways, Harbor Drive. Which one? It's an easy question, easy and quick. Probably Harbor Drive.
The thing is, it's one of those things that got introduced, and very much like the shuttles. Because when they introduce the shuttles and you think, well, how is that going to work? Because that's 24 hours. Yeah. These drivers just going around left, right, just going around town, and you just think, how the hell this is going to work? But now, it is part of Comic-Con, and it makes total sense. Mm-hmm. This from day one made total sense.
Yeah. It didn't matter if you were at peak time or kicking out time.
If you live local. It may not have.
I was in a bar last night and there was a lovely lady singing and she said, "Oh, did you all go to Comic-Con?" There was a few people cheering, whatever else. She said, "Oh, I'm a San Diego native. It's lovely that you're here, but we can't get anywhere." Which I thought was kind of fun, actually. I mean, hey, look, that's the way it is. But,
cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Right. Casual meetup Tuesday.
Well, what I was thinking here is that if we want to do, and I suggested, yeah, I know this is new to him. Well, we're going to get into a few new things that he doesn't know about. Thinking about doing a meetup tomorrow afternoon, maybe for summertime for people who are still in town.
You just want to take us to the sushi place, don't you?
There's a Sushi 2, which is right next to the Spreckles Theater on 135 Broadway, and they have a great happy hour. I was able to get a California roll, some calamaris, and fried calamaris.
Do they do fish tacos?
I'm not sure, but
do they do anything that's not fish?
I don't know, but we could look at the schedule at Sushi 2 on 135 Broadway. That was all $12. So I'm talking easy on the wallet here, and just chill, have a beer or something like that. If there's another restaurant people want to do, let's do that. That sounds good too. Cheap. We're all spent a lot of money. Cheap.
Sure. Now we appreciate that a lot of people have left town now, and it is obviously going to be for the more San Diego residents or San Diegans.
Or people who are hanging around
absolutely, a bit longer. But there's some things to do. Also, we'll be blasting this out on the forum as well, and we'll share that.
The point being is that a lot of us go through post-con blues, and I actually, like hashtag post-con blues. They're real, but the way to get through them is to hang out with your con buddies. And reach out to your con buddies and all of that sort of stuff. And Tuesday, face it, today's taken up with laundry and cleaning.
My post-con blues ended at around 12 o'clock last night. I'm sorry, I'm kind of glad this con is done, because there was so much stuff in it, and there was so much to see and so much to do. I'm wiped. I'm wiped. I'm gone. I'm glad.
But what I'm saying,
if there was another day of this thing, it would kill me.
But what I'm saying is, later on, the blues will hit you. They haven't hit you yet.
Okay.
So I'm suggesting that maybe we want to do a quick, easy, simple, cheap get together. That's that was my only my only thought.
Okay.
And I just want to put out, next week in television is already up. I want to make sure that people understand that the season finale of Colony is happening this Wednesday, as is the highly anticipated Castle Rock on Hulu. By all reports, as everybody has said, it's a show not to be missed.
It's the first 3 episodes.
Yeah.
They're putting up straight away.
Maybe now's the time to switch from, Netflix to Hulu. For a while.
Until the end of August.
Yeah.
And then move to Amazon to get Jack Ryan.
Jack Ryan drops on the 31st. We're going to be doing a large write-up on that, because it does look that spectacular. And as Leonard said, he saw the first episode of it too. So I do have a closing statement that I do want to say, but that's kind of the show.
Nearly. We'll do this closing statement first. I'm guessing it's going to be that thing that we skip to the top.
No,
I'll tell you what. Mark will lead on this one, purely because we both have our own memories of this gentleman. Mark certainly as a close friend to both the pair of them, and myself as a personal story. As we overheard, or as the word got out on Saturday afternoon, that Collider video contributor, documentary filmmaker, and friend to nerds everywhere, John Schnepp, passed away over the course of the weekend. This has been an emotional Comic-Con, and it has been a Comic-Con with things that have happened in a heartbeat. It's just been one of those where Whiplash is, I think, possibly it's the colon title for this particular con. It's just been like that. The speed in which John Schnepp declined in health was unexpected and heartbreaking to find and read about. His partner Holly posted that he had gone into hospital with undiagnosed virus that he is suffering from, which hit every part of his system and pretty much sent a lot of him into shutdown. He was put into ICU and then I believe into an induced coma shortly before Comic-Con. However, at that point, it was seeming like there was a possibility of respite, that from that coma, he could come and recover from it. There were fundraising activities going ahead to try and help pay for any of the medical costs, but it was not to be, unfortunately, and he passed away on Saturday morning or Friday night, I believe.
I think it was Friday or something like that, yeah.
We'll go to you, Mark, first, because you obviously knew Holly Payne and you knew the pair of them personally.
I mean, John was everything about not just Comic-Con, but about nerds in general. This was the thing, and this is what I loved about John, is that he made, even if you were the sweatiest person at a convention, he made that fun. You know, he made the sweaties unite, and that was the thing. And no matter if you met him, and a couple of times I met him, as you know, he didn't know who I was at all. I knew his fiance that we introduced. He wasn't interested in talking about himself. He wanted to know what you were into, and then he would contribute to that conversation and go, by the way, did you check out so-and-so? Whatever else. He was the kindest man. He was the tallest man. He was taller than you, which is
near as damn it.
Yeah, and you know, he was such an imposing guy, yet the nicest person, a gentle giant.
Yeah.
In that when he was in England, I think he just loved it. He just loved being in England. He loved being in America. He loved doing Collider. And you can tell the outpouring over the weekend of people who just somehow came to him, whether it was different ways. You know, I mean, I came to him because I was friends with his fiance. I didn't know who he was because, you know, he's American. But, you know, somebody like yourself, Alyssa, you probably saw him on Collider, and loads of people other did. So everybody came to John different ways. Whether you saw his documentary work or, you know, his anime work, he was a guy who, much like Kevin Smith, and they were friends, people knew him. People probably didn't know his work, but people knew John because of his crazy look. And he had a crazy look, but that's what defined him as well, because he was that nice guy.
I think it was also interesting that while he was an appreciator and very much a fan of fandoms and also of the content that we all celebrate, he was a fan of the people that celebrated it.
He was.
So he wasn't just representing us; he was us. He was one of us, and he never felt like he was kind of like representing us. He was in the crowd.
And that's what Kevin Smith has, and that's what Chris Hardwick had.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
But
I don't know the
maybe 10, 15 years ago.
But John was a professional, and we'll all agree on that.
Sure.
But it felt like he was a fan
first.
Always a fan first. You saw him on TV and thought, this guy is clearly, you know, he's a professional. But he was a fan first. And it always felt like he was a fan first.
Sure.
So, you know, for something like this, I think he's one of the original nerds.
I go on that.
He was one of the original nerds.
For myself, the first time I got pressed for San Diego Comic-Con was 2013. At the end of the day, the site that I run, it's about the run-up to the convention. So covering the actual pop culture nature of it seems almost like an add-on. It's an ancillary stuff to what I actually do for the site. But as part of the press, I was able to arrange an interview with John Schnettman. He was my first face-to-face in-camera interview. And if you've actually seen it as well, you know how amateur it was, because I had a microphone which plugged into my iPhone. Took some time, got the whole. I was on a selfie stick as well, so it was all over the place. So he had a lot of fun with that. He had a lot of fun with that. But he also, the fact that I was doing interviews, so asking questions, and the mic was still here, and I forgot. And he just put me in such ease.
Yeah.
Yes.
And he was just like, okay, you're having fun with it. Yeah, well, let's have fun with it.
Yes,
that was the thing. Yeah,
cool.
absolutely.
Cool.
All we can say is he will be missed. He's one of those that we are going to miss now that he's gone, and it's just it hurts. This one hurts.
Yeah.
From all of us at An Englishman in San Diego, and from the forum, of course, and from Mark, from all of us, we want to extend our sympathies and best wishes to Holly Payne at this time. I'm certain if we very quickly find the GoFundMe, there is an address for that. We would heartily recommend, because at the end of the day, they weren't out to make a profit. They weren't out for the cash. So they didn't really do things in terms of buying a house with whatever projects they did, which means, and as visitors to the US are fully aware, talking to the Americans, getting ill and indeed passing away in the US is an expensive proposition. At the end of the day, there were extensive medical costs to John's care, so we do recommend that you would donate to the GoFundMe to help Holly's efforts at this time. But from all of us, we want to extend our best wishes and sympathies to Holly and the family of John Schnepp at this time. And yeah, rest in peace, John. Happy trails, sir. Right, next thing up is your announcement.
Well, what I just wanted to say is that Leonard and I have been talking.
Okay, I want to know where you're going with this, because I've got an
I
announcement
know.
about this. Go on then.
We're gonna, and perhaps this is going to be out of left field, but we're thinking of changing the hangout.
Right. Okay. So is this putting me on the spot to explain what I've got thoughts?
No. And I'm going to insist on finishing my statement.
Go on. Go
on. He's thinking about changing the hangout as to where we're going to be going and where it's going to be focusing. He's going through some changes. Within my personal life. As I don't know where I'm going to be living. So we're reimagining how this is going to be going forward, or if it will go forward.
Right.
And in what form it will go forward. I am interested in continuing it forward. In what form it will most certainly be. If it does go forward, it would most certainly be for conventions over the entire US, over the entire UK. And to that end, what I know I would like going forward would be more interaction with live con reports, having more guests on who, say you went to a convention last week, have you on the next week and talk about that convention for a little bit of time. That's my vision for going forward. I will say that we need to convince Leonard to continue.
This is why she's doing this now.
Absolutely.
Putting me on the spot.
Totally. Yeah, that's what I'm doing. I need all of our regular listeners and watchers to convince Leonard that this is our weekly therapy session, and we need this to continue.
Okay. The two options are you ready? The two options are, I don't do this anymore, and she does it all.
No.
This today, and I think Mark has kind of seen a little taste of it. This is not Talking Comic-Con, a cup of tea with an Englishman in San Diego. This is Talking Comic-Con with Alyssa Franks, Leonard in the corner.
No, he's you know, the analogy is sports radio. He's the play-by-play guy.
Don't do analogies with sports with me.
Yeah, he's the play-by-play guy, and I like to think I do commentary. You know,
Fair enough.
color commentary.
Okay. Right. Well, I mean, this is going to be my announcement.
Go for it.
Fine. Yes, we will be continuing the hangout. Okay, we are going to be continuing the hangout.
Thank you.
Fair enough.
Thank you.
Okay. Yes, there is going to be a restructuring. The reason being, I'm actually going to be closing An Englishman in San Diego.
Sound effects.
Bum, bum, bum. Ah, right. Kind of. And I will explain that. Yes.
And Mark and I are exchanging knowing glances.
I'll explain why. I started An Englishman in San Diego. It was my throwaway YouTube blog documenting my road to San Diego Comic-Con in 2011. And as the years have gone on, it's just grown and gestated and become something else. It's just turned into its own animal. The name of the thing was An Englishman in San Diego, and that was a play on the Sting track, because I happen to be a fan, and it was going to be the soundtrack of the intros, except I then got hit by trademark. Thanks, YouTube. So that kind of got struck, but no, the name kind of stuck, and it has kind of grown and grown and grown. The downside, however, is I've boxed myself into a corner with the name. That doesn't mean, however, that there is strength in that name, and people do. It's an Englishman. We know him. We know him. So it's going to be a new site starting and launching in October. It's going to be something which has the provisional title of the Convention Collective. It's basically a website about conventions. You may have seen on the site at the moment, there's a lot of stuff about pop culture, and there's some trailers on there as well. That is pretty much going to disappear, or at least hide away into a corner. I think maybe Dan Berry may be given his own little sandpit. I'm even thinking about calling it just that, the Dan Berry sandpit. I think it'd be rather nice little corner for him to kind of play. No, let him play. Just let him play. Anyway, what? Anyway, so that's no.
I don't want to know where my mind went.
I don't really want to know. I don't know what you go up to in sandpits when you were a kid. Fine, but the idea is going to be more about conventions, which we're going to kind of block off into groups as well of the people that organise them. So, for example, Repop, CCI, Showmasters, MCM, etc., etc. It's going to be kind of blocked out. It's going to be more about guest announcements, guest cancellations, guides, help, maps. It's going to be about conventions purely. Effectively, it's going to be the Convention Collective featuring an Englishman in San Diego. So down in the corner is going to be my vlogs, my opinions. It's going to be about me and my little bit. It's also going to there's going to be a little bit of cross-pollination, because there will be the San Diego stuff in there as well, but it will mostly feature on the main site.
He's talked about a history, doing a history.
I think about doing it like a history thing.
Corner.
Yeah,
a history corner.
Because we're doing this, by the way. The reason we never covered that at the beginning. We never said we were going to be doing this from the boardroom at the convention center, except the board weren't too happy, so they kind of nixed that idea. So that was going to be our prestigious venue. But this is a prestigious venue. This is where we're staying. It is. It is. It's the El Cortez Apartments, which was formerly the El Cortez Hotel, at the top of downtown, up on Ash. It was the home of the original San Diego Comic-Con back in the early 1970s. So it's a major part of Comic-Con history. I know. I'm working on it. Give me a break. So that's something I'm thinking about doing. Maybe some element in my little corner is going to be like a history blog and talking to people about the early days of Comic-Con. So stuff like that. So that's what we're doing. As for the Hangouts, it is going to be talking Comic-Con. It's probably still going to be a cup of tea. I'm trying to work out about if the titling is going to be the same.
Ask the audience.
Any ideas, by all means. But I think the thing that's concerning about it, the thing that is concerning about it is the Talking Comic-Con. You changed your title of your site because it was boxing you into San Diego Comic-Con. So we're working on titles at the moment, but that's the way it's going to. We're looking at how we're going to do that.
So I am hearing him say that the Hangout will continue. It may change a time. It may change a time at which we do it at. There may be other minor changes that happen, but I'm hearing you say that
it will be continuing.
Okay, with Mark as a featured and regular guest.
No, we're thinking about getting rid of some of the dead weight.
Oh.
So we just get rid of the dead wood. So like move on, evolve into something bigger and better. Who else is going to keep you in line? Jesus. We're going to get Caroline involved, so just keep punching me from the side.
I don't punch you hard enough. I can do it harder.
Fair enough. Okay. The idea was that we were going to continue to do it on the Sunday. The new season was going to start on the 19th, 3 weeks ago, 3 weeks to go. So the 19th of August, taking a bit of a break. It will give us time to think about the title, think about branding, and think about how the Hangout is going to continue going forward.
What? We're not doing a show for 3 weeks?
Correct.
What? Hey, this is news to me.
Taking a break.
Okay,
there may be an incidental episode where she runs it on her own, and she can call it what she bloody well likes.
Okay.
But that's the way it works. These are the arguments that we usually do virtually. You're actually doing them face to face now. It's freaking me out.
Online.
Okay, cool. So that's the way it works.
Okay.
That's what's kind of getting planned. The socials are already set up for the Convention Collective. We're working on the URL and indeed the website. Like I say, An Englishman in San Diego will probably shut its doors for about a month, leading up to our launch in October. So as of around, the month before, the Englishman in San Diego site will shutter, and we're going to be basically doing a grand relaunch of that. That's going to be in August. Get it right.
Okay. So that sounds great. I love where you're going with this, and it completely, given my rebranding that I went through, it completely makes sense and will make his site more marketable and available to other conventions out there. And that's
it's also the fact that I'm doing work for MCM now, and I'm doing panel work for other conventions.
Absolutely.
So it's just
and that brings us right back to the beginning where we were saying we're interested in convention reports from people. So Mark, what's your big announcement?
I have nothing at all. I should have moved out of
Mark is expecting an addition to the family, aren't you? You and Sam no, they're not. No, they're not. No.
So it's not.
Oh, Sam not told you yet. She's only told me and Caroline. Then that's a bit weird. Not to tell you as well.
Okay.
Hey.
I think we've
talked out. I think we're done.
Okay. It's been 2 hours now. I think we're down to a few. We've lost
last minute comments.
Viewers.
No, last minute comments. Basically along the lines of if I am going to Violet Kruger, if not really happy with that. Chuck Cook will playing with strong drink. Oh, my audience knows me so well. Chuck Cook, we will add your distinctiveness to our own. Oh yes.
Yes.
Oh,
so,
yes.
Chuck, I'm hoping that you can make it on Tuesday.
Nice.
Get back and get in contact with me. I want to hang out with you.
Cool. He also did mention about something as well. Carly Mid mentioned that she went to Brian's 24 as well, enjoyed it. Excellent. Chuck was mentioning something else that we could have folded in, but we'll do it quickly here. They moved the art show to the Grand Hyatt, which I think negatively impacted the number of people who saw the art. Yes.
I know this for a fact.
Yes. Plus, they had told an artist friend they were shutting down at 7. They called her at 5 when we were all at dinner and told her they had to come back and get all of her pieces. Not cool.
Yeah.
Shit.
I heard the.
I'm sorry, but shit.
I just to go back into moving the art show, because I did talk with somebody. It has negatively impacted their numbers in the 5-figure range. Okay, seriously. Right. So that could have
come up at the hangar at the talk.
Yeah, that could have come out up at the talkback. And number one, the space that they replaced it with was for registration.
Right.
Was that really necessary?
Okay.
Put it back in the sales pavilion, let them get their numbers up. It's a money maker for CCI. It's a good exposure to new artists, and that's what CCI is all about.
Fair enough.
I'm not sure if they need all of that space for registration.
Fair enough.
Thank you for bringing that up.
Excellent stuff, well done. Right, so once again, like I say, my plan was to return on Sunday the 19th of August with a possible new, bigger and brighter show. Like we are lining up guests for our next season, which will be season 6. Wow.
Nice.
Now, the thing that I do want to ask is, like I say, that's the provisional date that we're going to be coming back, but we've got a couple of weeks to kind of play with this. The one thing that we learned from actually coming out here before Comic-Con started is that 10 o'clock starts on a Sunday. They ain't great. So we'd like to ask if there's any changes that you would like to see us implement. If you'd like to send any ideas, not only about the branding, name, times, anything you want to send to tips@anenglishmaninsandiego.com.
Hey, I'm going to say I cannot English well at 10 a.m. We need to move the time a little bit later, something, I don't know, but I cannot English well.
9 a.m.
Oh. Screw you.
That's right. No, I'm okay with 8.
I'm fine. Well,
That was 4 o'clock in the afternoon. That's
Okay.
big.
no, that's better. That's better
no, it's
because then
big.
when I'm finished, I can have my tea and whatever else.
No,
So
because it's a
Okay.
big
yeah,
argument.
that's true. Yeah.
Okay,
9
one idea that I just had for a show next week, if we want to do
You
one,
can run your own.
I'd be running my own. This would be and it would be along the lines of, for longtime viewers, our Christmas special, in which we had invited a lot of viewers on.
So you'll want to do a Christmas special in July.
Well,
Christmas in July.
it's like Black Friday in July.
Listen, we've had Comic-Con.
Yeah.
We're now gearing up for Christmas.
I would like to hear. No, it's not. We did the Christmas special. It's the viewer special.
Listen, if you want to do that,
I may do it.
have you got your own Facebook, YouTube channel?
Okay, we're going to talk about it. That's an idea. If you have any ideas for a show that you think I could run, that would be great too. Let us know. As you said, you can find me at Friends of CCI on my Twitter handle, and just tweet me, or I will always be on my website, Alyssa.
Yeah.
On my site, friendsofcc.com.
Where can people find you, Mark?
Twitter. Mark.
No, I meant down in the hotel. Which hotel are you?
I'm not giving these details there. The celebs don't. Why should I? I'm not doing it.
Okay, your home address then. Go on then. No. So where can people find you?
Mark_Searby on Twitter, website marksearby.com, on all of the ebook stores as well, with my book, Al Pacino, The Movies Behind the Man. Also, every Friday afternoon in the UK on Phoenix FM, every Saturday and Sunday morning it's close. Every Saturday and Sunday morning on BBC Radio Suffolk in the UK as well, doing the film reviews, and also now on Blu-rays and DVDs.
Yes.
Yeah.
Phoenix FM, Mark Searby on the radio.
I don't have a jingle.
Okay. And for myself, an Englishman in San Diego, and also Englishman STCC on social medias, I will be announcing all the addresses for the Convention Collective addresses shortly. They are live. I will say that much. Right. Thank you very much indeed for watching. Hope you've enjoyed it.
Thank you.
People, if you've been here in San Diego, we hope you've had a fantastic Comic-Con. It really has been, as I think demonstrated by how long we've been talking, a truly epic one for the years.
Yes.
Purely because of the way that CCI are evolving and continuously changing the show. What changes they introduced for next year? The 50th anniversary. It's the big one. It's a big boy, big party. So do join us as we ramp up for that in 3 weeks' time. Christ. Where's the graphic from Pacific Rim? Start the clock. We postpone the apocalypse. It's back on.
I think actually the true focus should be in all the conventions that we're having in August.
Sure.
Over the course of the UK and
When's
the
New York?
States. New York is in October, the first weekend in October. It doesn't stop. Con season doesn't end until November.
It doesn't stop. It just doesn't ever stop.
And it resumes again next April. Okay, so
Ow.
stick with us. We'll try and guide you through it, I think, is where we're going with all this. And can you hit stop broadcast?
Yeah. Bye, everybody. We're going to the pub.
Yes, we are.
Yeah. Okay.
Blindborough.
God, it's on the other window. It's on the other window. How can we turn it off? How can we stop this thing? How can we? Good God.